My daughter is to be married. Please get a good son-in-law. If you love God maximum, then why should you say, give me a son-in-law? So who is more in your mind? The would-be son-in-law or God? Please don't get confused. You cannot escape my question. If you consider God to be supreme, you cannot ask for anything from Him. He is supreme. When you ask for anything in particular, your interest, your desire, your need is more for the other factor, to that extent less in God. So, God requires only love. Love Him and live in this world. Belong to Him and then have any belonging that you have. Ultimately and fundamentally, He is the owner, He is the possessor, He is the ruler, He is the governor. Recognize Him and have fondness for Him. Everything should come second. That is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mat karma gridu, mat paramaha, mat bhaktaha, sangha varjitaha. Let all your activities be done for me. Mat bhaktaha, mat karma gridu. Become a devotee of mine and work for me. Sangha varjitaha. Never think anything is mine. Everything belongs to God. Why should you bring mineness in whatever you do? The whole earth belongs to Him. You are a denizen of the earth. Still you say, earth is God's, but I am different. This kind of an exception you cannot argue out. So, prema, Ishware premaha, maitri tadadhineshu. Towards the devotees of the Lord, knowledgeable people, ascetics, enlightened people, knowers of truth, you must have maitri, friendship. What is meant by friendship? Have you thought about it? Friendship is give as well as take. It is a mutuality and an exchange. What did Nimi do? The moment the Navayogis came there, he received them, welcomed them, asked them to sit, wash their feet, gave them something to drink, and thereafter he sits. Please tell me Bhagavata Dharmas. So he gave him food, seat and honor, and he is asking, taking from them what they have to say. This is the attitude you must have towards devotees. Can you do it with God, an idol? You cannot. You cannot. Don't try to say anything. You cannot interact with an idol. You are giving food, you are giving flower. Food instantly you take away. Flowers you remove the next day. What is it that God takes from you? Nothing. He doesn't want. Everything is given by Him. You don't have to give anything. If at all you give to the people who need it, not God. So, tadadhineshu maitri. So, give them their physical requirements like food, clothing, and maybe if they have some activity. Say we have an ashram. We have got some centers in different places. Quite a number of people are assisting. We have a number of workforce also here. Our publications are there, books are published. So depending upon their needs, you can participate and share in the need. And always ask them for wisdom, peace, salvation, inner strength, inner expansion. Ask them to enlighten you about the scriptures. So from the devotees, you have something to nourish your mind, heart and intelligence. To them, you give them their physical and other needs. This is called friendship. Balisheshu kripa. To the ignorant and deluded people who mock at your devotion or who are unable to understand your devotion, never hate them or dislike them. Prema maitri kripopeksha. Out of the 4 attitudes, upeksha is the last. This is very seldom discussed and known, especially in the manner in which our Hari is presenting it. Upeksha literally means indifference or renunciation. Renunciation or indifference towards whom? Dvishatsuja. The word dvishatsu refers to adversaries or antagonistic people. Everyone in this world will have some people who dislike him or her. Everybody will have. Every one of you will have many people who like you and some people who dislike you. Whenever the dislike becomes too much, it becomes even hatred. You say, he may be an enemy. He considers you or himself as an enemy. So in that case, what you should do, you should not take that factor into account and spoil your mind or get agitated. There is an attitude to be developed towards such people. Srimad Bhagavata says, be indifferent to such people or develop a sense of renunciation. They dislike somebody because they want to dislike. They like somebody because they like somebody. So the dislike and like are originating from their minds, and anyone becomes only an object for it. But the trouble is in their subject. So it is a subjective urge that finds an object expression. This is something that you have to be very careful about. So the prema, maitri and kripa are very positive attitudes which are functional and interactional. When it comes to the fourth one called upeksha, it is unilaterally resting upon you and not the other person. You de-recognize them, have a sense of renunciation and indifference, allow your mind not to get agitated or spoiled or contaminated by it. Is it okay? Ishvare tadadhineshu balisheshu dvishatsuja prema maitri kripopeksha yah karodi samadhyamaha. Now you have to understand the difference between the two. In the primary stage of devotion, you have to have the assistance of an idol. And you also take recourse to external materials like flower, garland, a little bit of offering cooked or uncooked, etc. You chant perhaps some mantras. You make use of your hand, collect these materials, offer, and all these paraphernalia are there. Now here, nothing like that. All the four attitudes are parallelly working in your mind. So you have elevated the devotion from the external gross level to your own inner personality, inner level, primarily the mind. The mind generally gives rise to and preserves attitudes and emotions. Here four attitudes are suggested. One is prema, love or fondness for God, maitri, towards godly people, knowers of truth, devotees, ascetics and the like, kripa, sympathy or consideration for those people who mock your devotional interest and involvement. These can be much more long. It can continue for many hours of the day or all the hours of the day. As long as you are interacting with this world, the entire interactional life will be governed and enriched by this attitude. So this is a much greater possibility. It is a far extensive note of devotion. Am I clear? Listen. What is the best level? Sarva bhuteshu yah pashyet bhagavad bhavamatmanah bhutani bhagavatyatmani esha bhagavatottamaha. This person, he says, is the Uttama Bhagavata. The first is Prakrita Bhagavata. The second is the Madhyama Bhagavata. Now you come to the first or the superlative level. What is that? Sarva bhuteshu yah pashyet bhagavad bhavam atmanaha. Are you following me? Are you hearing me? And do you find real exposure, enlightenment and guidance in what I say? This is the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. See how it enlightens and improves the plight and fate of devotees. Sarva bhuteshu yah pashyet bhagavad bhavamatmanaha. Bhagavad bhavam atmanaha sarva bhuteshu yah pashyet. One has to see the Lord and the Lordly presence. Where? Sarva bhuteshu, in all beings. What are you doing? In idol worship? You are seeing the Lord archayam eva, only in the idol. Here, it is not so. You remain wherever you are. You may go to a temple, may not go to a temple. You may have your puja room or not have your puja room. But you will always have your heart and mind. When you have a heart and mind, nourish that mind. The presence of God, that godliness, you must find in all bhutas, everything in the form of a becoming. The word bhuta means that which has become. It can be mobile creation, immobile creation, in all the beings. Then in all the Panchabhutas. Bhagavad Bhavam. You must see the bhava of Bhagavan. You must find the presence and the expression of God. Who is this Bhagavan? Atmanaha. What shall I say? If all of you were near me, visible to me, I could have looked at your faces and understood whether you are with me when I say this. Atmanaha Bhagavad Bhavam. Bhagavan is a word which really means your very self. Atma is the presence in your own body. Bhagavan or Lord or God is only a synonym of this self. So you should find your own self extended in the whole world. It is not that the world extends to you. Our body is born of the world, I agree. But the presence inside the body is never born of another. It is not born of father, born of mother. That presence is already there, was there, will be there. It is unrelated to the body. The body is animated by it, activated by it. So, Atmanaha Bhagavad Bhavam Sarva Bhuteshu Yaha Pashyed. Whoever is going to see, will see the universal godly presence, the extension of his own self. Bhutani Bhagavati Atmani. Hari is not satisfied with what he said. You should equally understand Bhutani Bhagavati Atmani. You should say and you should understand that all the beings are resting on God, and that God is your very self. What does it mean? You must start feeling that the self permeates in all, and all the things are resting upon yourself. You are no more perimetered by the body, limited by the body, surrounded by the body, circumscribed by the body. See, when I heat an iron rod, will the heat be only in the iron rod, or it will be surroundingly there also? So the heat is present in the iron rod, but it is not restricted by it. It goes beyond. Similarly, the self, the most subtle presence, is not circumscribed by the body. It's also extensive, and it extends to the whole universe and universal products. And all the universe is resting upon the self. Tell me where the earth is resting. Can it rest in the surrounding air? So where is the air resting? Where is the sky resting? Where the whole universe rests, that is the self. That is the Atma. That is God. There is no difference between the self and God. How beautifully Bhagavata puts this proposition. Sarva bhuteshu yah pasyed bhagavad bhavam atmanaha bhutani bhagavatyatmani esha bhagavatottamaha. He who has this kind of a perception, what? This kind of a perception. Initially it was taking flowers and offering, a material offer handled by the fingertips. Next it was 4 different attitudes in the mind. Are you following? Are you hearing? Now in the Uttama Bhagavata, no such physicality, no such multiple attitude, only one. What is that? Atmanaha Bhagavad Bhavam Sarva Bhuteshu. You are perceiving your God in all places, in all beings. and all beings in you. Both are equally possible, equally experiential, and the devotee alone will experience it, none else. When we are able to elevate ourselves to the level of intelligence, we start from the sensory level, go into the mind level, now we rise ourselves to the intelligence level, where godliness becomes a perception, a recognition, a comprehension, an apprehension, a realization. This is who is called the Uttama Bhakta. I will recite these verses once more in their order. Archayam eva haraye pujam yashraddhaye hate nadad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhaktah pragrita smrdaha ishvare tadadhineshu balisheshu dvishassu ja prema maitri kripopeksha yah karoti samadhyamaha sarva bhuteshu yah pashyet bhagavad bhavamatmanah bhutani bhagavatyatmani esha bhagavatottamaha. Now Bhagavata exposes to you the three stages of devotion and devotee. The idol worship is the lowest rung in the ladder, and the idol worshipper is the uncultured and unreformed devotee. The one who has four different attitudes, prema, maitri, kripa and upeksha, he belongs to the mediocre level yet. And the supreme or the highest level is having always a singular and uniform perception. As Prahlada indicates, he said that Etavaneva lokesmin pumsaswartha parasmrtaha ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. This is the highest selfishness, swartha for everybody, the supreme goal. What is that? Ekanta bhaktir govinde. Ekanta bhakti, unflinching, unending devotion to the Supreme Lord, Govinda. What is that? Yad sarvatra tadikshanam. Seeing Govinda everywhere and always. I don't know whether you have understood me, my dear viewers. Seeing God in everything and always. Tell me, in what way is it difficult? You are already thinking of God and seeing Him in the idol. Say it is something like having 50 grams of gold. And what is the other one? I give you a ton of gold. What is that? Seeing God everywhere. Now you are seeing Him in one place. In the same manner you see Him everywhere. In place of 50 grams of gold, I am giving you 1 ton of gold. How can you refuse it? I don't think you have any answer. You will not have. You will not have any answer. If you have half an hour devotion, I say increase it to 24 hours. If you like half an hour devotion, you should like it immensely 24-hour devotion. This growth and development are in your mind. By what process? Not by a performantial process, but by an enlightenmental process. When I explain to you Srimad Bhagavatam, if you start listening to me, and after listening you will absorb the message, keep it with you, preserve it, strengthen it, and pursue it, the whole chapter is over. Instead of practicing devotion, you will become a full-fledged devotee of the Lord. So I would like all of you to let me know, after listening to what I say, has your devotion increased in its dimension? Has it risen from the sensory, physical level to the mind and the intelligence level? And have you become a devotee? Instead of practicing devotion in a piecemeal manner, become once and for all a devotee and let everything of your life and activity be devotional equally. This is what I want you to know. And let me know whether the message is clearly absorbed by you and what impact has it created. I am wondering whether all of you know where we are now. We are now right in the midst of a conversation that transpired between King Nimi on the one hand and the 9 yogis who providentially by chance happened to visit his yaga. He accosted them and finally requested them to speak to him very clearly about the devotee's characteristics and dharma. The first yogi already spoke whatever he had. In answer to the second question raised by King Nimi, Yogi Hari is speaking, and he has also he has defined the 3 stages or 3 levels of devotion and devotees. The devotion may start from any particular manner in any particular level, but it has to climax itself, crown itself at a definite stage. Everyone will have to be an Uttama Bhakta. The Uttama Bhakta is perhaps the most exemplary human that you can think of in this world. We have already explained it. I told you yesterday that the little Prahlada describes devotion, how it can be easily imbibed, developed and perfected. While concluding his exposition, he particularly utters a certain verse which is recorded by Srimad Bhagavatam by Vedavyasa. What is that? Etavaneva lokesmin pumsaswartha parasmrtah ekanda bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. In human life, in this consists the supreme object and attainment. Etavaneva lokesmin pumsaha swartha paraha smrtaha. The supreme object of human life is contained in this, only in this much, he says. That means in whatever he is going to say, there is a lot of simpleness. It's not a very elaborate procedure or a complex pursuit or attainment. It is something very simple and also brief. What is that simpleness? Ekanta bhaktihi govinde. He says, it is exclusive devotion to the Supreme Lord Govinda. Exclusive devotion. Unflickering, unswerving, unflinching, unbroken devotion to the Lord. When you hear this, you may wonder, is it possible for us to have such an unbroken devotion towards the Lord? Yes, it is easy and all people can have it, provided you will understand and proceed and govern your devotion, guide your devotion in the proper manner. Our scriptural compositions are solely meant only to facilitate the practice of devotion, the practice of spiritual, philosophical and yogic sadhana. Let us be very clear. The scriptures and the scriptural authors are not to complicate matters. They are to simplify matters. My role also is particularly to simplify the whole exposition so that the procedure becomes very clear to you. Ekanda bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. What is this supreme and exclusive unbroken devotion? Prahlada puts it very nicely. Yad sarvatra tadikshanam. You see the Lord everywhere and in all. Whenever your eyes are open, are you not seeing all the objects around? Yes. Can you make any exception? There may be a dog, there may be a horse, there may be a cart, there may be a car, maybe an elephant, a number of human beings. And in the process you will find a dead animal also, a crow or a dog. Everything the eyes will picture, everything the eyes will glimpse. There cannot be any exception. In the same manner, whatever you see around, mentally and with your intelligence, understand that all these are manifestations, expressions and display of your God. Everybody in calm and quiet moments will agree that God is the only author and creator of the world. Not only the creator, he is also the preserver of the world. If the world is going to be dissolved, he is also the dissolver of the world.